Aum Dehanyatwana me janma jara karsyalayadayaha Shabdadivishayai sango nirindriyataya nacha Dehanyatvat, because of its being other than the body. Na, not. Me, for me. Janma, birth. Jara, wrinkling. Karshya, senility. Laya adayaha, death, etc. Shabda adi vishayai, with sense objects such as sound, etc. Sango, association. Nirindriyataya, because it is without sense organs. Na, not. Cha, and. Atman is different from the body, and so I am free from changes such as birth, wrinkling, senility, death, etc. I have nothing to do with the sense objects such as sound and taste, for Atman is without sense organs.
Namaste. So this verse is the first of a series that outline a form of meditation called Bhuta Shuddhi. Bhuta Shuddhi is a kind of meditation undertaken before worship, especially in the temple when you have a deity and you're about to make a big offering or something like that, because it situates one in the purified position of being a spirit soul and being separate from the body and all that. In other words, in our native state, our real nature. So the very first item of Bhuta Shuddhi is, I am different from the body. I am the self. I am not these sense organs, these things which are the causes of suffering. Try to understand. We're suffering. We want to get out of suffering. So the problem is we want to continue to identify with and experience life through the very things that suffer, which are the body, the sense organs, and so on. Their extensions in various possessions, etc., etc. So as long as we remain attached to these things, there will be suffering, because they change. The body gets old. See? Go look at some of my earlier videos and see the difference. In just a few years, my body has changed so much. So this is old age, jara. Jara is translated here as wrinkling, but what it really means is old age. And death. The body will die. So if we're identified with the body, we'll suffer. If we think the body is me or the body is mine, then suffering is inevitable. So better to meditate like this, that I have nothing to do with this body. I am not these senses. Buddha classified consciousness into 6 kinds. Eye consciousness, ear consciousness, nose, tongue, and body consciousness, touch, sensation, plus mind consciousness. Now, in our system, we would call these Jagrat and Svapna consciousness of the body and of the mind, respectively. But then he taught that one should enter into Sushupti consciousness, that is, consciousness without an object. This is the jhanas of the Buddha. What we call in the yoga system, we call it samadhi. Really what it is entering the exalted state of turiya through the state of sushupti, where the consciousness is still identified with an individual, but has no objects. Then once even that sense of individuality is removed, that's turiya. And that is the native state of the being before it becomes entangled in matter. So this is necessary. Why? To relieve suffering. So let's take a look at this verse in more detail. Atman is different from the body. So I am free from changes. It is the changes that cause the suffering. We become identified with the body, and we try to enjoy the body through the mula pariyaya computation at the root of the mind. We've been over this many times. And then the body changes. It gets old. It loses potency. It becomes afflicted by various diseases. The sense organs grow dull. One's hearing, one's sight, and other senses gradually lose their power to discern various sense objects. So how can you enjoy these things, It's like trying to enjoy an old car that's like always breaking down. As the body ages, there are more and more health problems that you have to deal with and treat and counteract. It becomes a maintenance nightmare that just to get out of bed in the morning, you have to counteract so many diseased conditions. Of course, if you meditate, if you do yoga, if you eat a light vegetarian diet, especially with the no sugar, no carbs, just proteins and clean oils like olive oil, you'll live longer. It's like using clean oil in your car engine. If you always keep the oil in your engine clean, it will last so much longer. And the same goes with the bodies. If you take every day just a minimal amount of food of the right types, the body will last longer and it will do better. And if you meditate, you will become aware of any imbalance in the body's energy very quickly. By meditating, you find that the energy imbalances lead to physical imbalances. So where the disease shows up first is in the energy body, the pranamaya kosha. So by meditating and becoming aware of the prana, the life energy, as it circulates through the body, you become aware of diseases far sooner than the average person who has to wait until the symptoms hit the gross body. But they begin in the subtle body, and actually they begin in the mind and intelligence. Because when the mind and intelligence identify with the senses, this sets up the situation that inevitably leads to suffering. So, therefore, we begin this meditation. I am not the body. I am Atman. So then, what is Atman? Free from changes. If you understand what is Atman, Atman is turiya. It is the consciousness of consciousness. Buddha never mentioned that. That is only discussed in the Vedas, specifically in the Mandukya Upanishad. So turiya is transcendental because it is beyond the sense organs, mind, and intelligence. It is pure awareness of awareness, consciousness of consciousness. So not only are we aware of the sense organs in Jagrat consciousness and of the mind in Svapna consciousness, we are aware of consciousness itself in Turiya. So this consciousness of consciousness is the consciousness of the self. This is the consciousness that has only other consciousness as its objects. So this is the highest state. Now, when the body drops off, if you are in this state, then you enter Turiyatita, which is full identification with Brahman. But to get there, first you have to go through this stage of detaching yourself from the body. What does that mean? As it says here in the verse, Atman is without sense organs. So if you are fully identified with Atman, you're not aware of the senses. That's where yogic pratyahara comes in. That means withdrawal of the senses from their objects and withdrawal of the mind from the senses. Mind is attention. What do we focus our attention on? Normally the senses. But when mind becomes absorbed in itself through meditation on a certain thought, for example, a mantra. Mantras are very useful for pratyahara. Concentrate on the mantra instead of on the senses. Instead of the attention being directed outward toward the sense and sense objects, it's directed inward toward the mind and intelligence. And in this way, one comes to be aware of one's identifications. What do I think I am? I mean, who do you think you are anyway? This is identification. Who I think I am, or what I think I am. Those who are educated in spiritual life think, I am Atman. I am pure consciousness. I am associated with the body only through ignorance. Because not knowing my real nature, I have become identified with this body and these senses. So the cure to this is to simply reverse it. And this is beginning the process of neti. Not this, not this. I am not these sense objects. I am not these senses. And in the next verses, we will go deeper into this dissociation of the Atman with the body and mind. Aum Tat Sat. Aum Shakti Aum. Aum Namah Shivaya.